First, my best friend hated my husband. She thought he was short, pathetic, and simp. By simp, she meant he loved and respected me and didn't play games. He was so confident in himself that he told me he liked me after the third date. And when he proposed, he admitted that he was in love with me from our first date. I'm so in love with him, and her kidding didn't bother me. All I did and said was that I wished her to experience real love. Only then would she understand why I was with him. That was on my wedding day when she was again kidding. My sister told her that her passive aggressiveness was showing and that she wasn't fooling anyone. The rest of the girls laughed. For 2 years now, she's never spoken ill about him. I was very relieved in the beginning, but then I started to wonder, she's too nice to him, always complimenting his looks. She usually doesn't even hug hello. She says she's autistic and can't, but now she hugs and kisses him high, always sits beside him. She's texted him memes and told me they had the same humor, but they don't. I didn't know what to do. Should I say something to any of them? My husband is oblivious, and I don't want to hurt her if I'm mistaken. 2 weeks ago, she texted my husband that she was in love with him. He didn't answer her, so she sent him, "Hello?" He asked her to stop because he was very uncomfortable and didn't reciprocate her feelings. I loved her, so she shouldn't do this again. A week later, she sent him some spicy pictures of herself. At that, my husband told me everything. He said he wasn't sure at first, but she made a move on him a month ago, and then he showed me the text. I was very angry and disappointed. He told me he was blocking her now. So last Sunday, I just confronted her when we were out for dinner. It was the same usual friend group. I blurred her body and her face and sent everyone screenshots of what she had sent to my husband. I asked her what she thought about that, and she was livid. She's so angry at me, calling me an abuser and an idiot. But for me, if what she was doing wasn't wrong, then she wouldn't be ashamed of me outing her, would she? We were basically raised together since we were 4, but we're not friends anymore. I give up. Obviously, she's angry because she's been called out for her bad behavior. You are not the idiot, but you need to cut this woman out, and probably should have a long time ago. Ignore the sunk cost fallacy of, but we've known each other for so long, and just cut her out. Support your husband. She wouldn't be upset if she was proud of what she sent. Who knows about it? Not only do you know what a piece of crap backstabber she is, the whole friend group now knows. You did the rest of your friends a service. They now know if she'll do that to someone she's known since she was 4, she'll do anything to them and have no problem doing it. She's not your friend. She tried to steal your husband at worst. At the least, she tried to have an affair with him. I love the petty. You outed that witch. Cheating scum hates getting exposed. You did nothing wrong by exposing it. You even did it a courtesy by hiding her body. And if you hadn't publicly outed her with evidence to friends, she would have trashed you to them with some fake story. Don't feel too bad. Sometimes you must push back strongly, or people will try to walk all over you. You clearly communicated that won't be happening. My ex and I share custody of our young teen son and our tween daughter. We divorced 9 years ago, and my ex has been happily remarried for going on 3 years. We're okay with each other, mostly civil, but we're not close and don't see eye to eye on many things post-divorce. This conflict stems from a couple of different things. So I picked my kids up from my ex's parents' house on Sunday. My ex and his wife, plus the kids, all my ex's family, and many of his wife's family members were there. My ex called me back to the yard to talk, and he told me he had told the kids that they were grounded for a week with no phone or internet, and that for another week, they would be doing acts of kindness for his wife. He punished them because they decided to do a game where the moms and their kids teamed up during this family gathering. The kids continued sitting, and when asked why, they said because their mom, meaning me, wasn't there. They were told that they would be teaming up with their other mom, and my kids asked why because she's not their mom. Ex told them she acts as their mom at their house, and my kids said she's not their mom and would never be their real mom, though. My son said that they need to call me to participate in a mom and kid game. Everyone was furious they would speak about their stepmom that way, and for using the term real mom. My ex told them to apologize, but neither would. My son told his dad he shouldn't have to apologize for telling the truth. I arrived about an hour later, and everyone was still angry about what happened. My ex told me that his wife had started to cry, and both kids rolled their eyes. He told me I needed to take care of grounding them for a week so that the next time the kids were with him, they could get to do their act of kindness for his wife. I told him I didn't see what they did as a punishable offense. He told me I was ignoring that it should have been clear who they should team up with. I told him they weren't wrong and that his wife isn't their mom, though. He told me it shouldn't matter and they should be more than willing to team up with his wife. I asked why they called it mom and kid instead of parent and kid then, but I was clear I would not ground them for it. X was furious. The families kept watching, and I knew they could hear from the glares I was getting as I left with the kids. X has texted me several times throughout the week, saying I was wrong and I made his wife feel like crap in front of their families. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And you should tell your ex that his priorities should be his kids. A grown-up woman who was in their life for just 3 years shouldn't start crying and playing the victim because her stepchildren, whom she sees on the weekends, don't think of her as a mother. Yes, she can address that this hurts, and if there's a possibility for them to see it to others, but not start crying and demanding a punishment for this kind of behavior. Am I the only one who thinks that this whole thing was a setup to try to force the kids into an unwanted second mommy dynamic? Okay, families, all the kids are going to play this game where they team up with their mom. Don't team games have a higher requirement for similar team structure and aptitude? i.e., all teams must have 1 adult and 4 kids, and the kids are further divided into, say, 2 older and 2 littles? What game is fair when one team is a mom and her only child, a toddler, versus a mom and her 4 teenagers? Nope, that was my first thought. It's telling that the part of their punishment is going to be a week of doing acts of kindness for the stepmom? She sounds needy as heck. And what the heck is acts of kindness? Are they Bible thumpers? Performing kindness as a punishment is a great way to teach kids they only have to pretend to be nice to get out of actual repercussions. An act of kindness stops being an act of kindness once you force it. Why not just ask them to be her slave or butlers for a week? It'd be just as effective for fostering resentment between step and step kids, but without the dishonesty of acts of kindness. Poor parenting here. Yikes. In any case, you're not obligated to uphold a punishment because your kids refuse to replace you in their lives. My husband's nephew moved into his grandparents' home at 16. He's now 24 and still lives there with his girlfriend, who does not work, and her preteen daughter. They do not clean much, if at all, and are sloppy in many ways. Just recently, his father, the grandpa, passed away, and his nephew's still living there without paying bills. We're in the process of closing the estate. He'll have to either move or find a way to pay all the bills. He doesn't make enough, and his girlfriend, 28 years old, doesn't work. My husband wants them to move into our home so we can keep his dad's 401k, muscle cars, etc. I do not want them to move in. We don't have children. We're both 40 and have 3 cats. I feel that if they move in, they will not leave. In fact, I'm about 97% sure of this. The fact that the nephew's girlfriend doesn't work or support her own child, who's not his, really bothers me. I halfway caved and said the nephew could move in, but my husband said he wasn't breaking up a family. They're not married, and I feel this is too much. My husband could give them money to set them up in an apartment or townhome, something, but he feels that it's setting him up for failure. That in a year, he'd be back with nowhere to live. I feel like it's not our responsibility to take care of a grown nephew and the people he chooses to date. Nor is it our responsibility if he goes out into the world and cannot make it on his own. However, I would help them if they make a real effort. This has caused a huge rift between us. My husband at this point said he'll do whatever he feels necessary, and I can deal with it. I said in anger that if he did so, I would be moving out along with my animals. I know if they do move in, I'll end up going off on them and asking them to move out. I do not do well with others in my living space. I need my sanctuary, or my anxiety goes through the roof. So it looks like I'm out of luck either way. So am I the idiot for not wanting to take them in? Edit. The nephew's doing the best he can with the amount he makes and is trying. His girlfriend is not, sleeping until noon daily and will not get a driver's license, even though we bought her a car. Most mornings, she doesn't even take her child to the bus stop. My nephew has to do so, as well as make an effort to clean up. The child is in elementary school and is not home between 8 and 3:30 p.m. My husband has not worked in 6 months and went into his retirement to do so, to take care of his father dying of cancer. Inheritance-wise, monetarily, there's not enough to pay off his father's house, truck, and debts. He would have to sell his father's pride and joy muscle car. The nephew's not a caveat of the inheritance. My husband just feels responsible. I do understand that, but not to this extent. Not the idiot. He chose. His nephew, not you. Time to create an exit strategy. Find an attorney and begin a legal separation. Give him 6 months to figure out the stupidity of his position. When he has no one to offset the consequences of his decisions, such as living in a messy house, he may change his mind. Dear God, why is that your or your husband's problem? These adults need to support themselves, especially the grown, lazy mother of 28. She sounds embarrassing. They need to all fall on hard times and not be saved by others. So she works and they sort their own lives out. They're just being enabled by your husband paying for things. This, OP, you should be thinking through this whole situation. Your husband's going to let his nephew's girlfriend, and her child move in. They will probably remain living with you for years. If you really do not want to be in this situation, your option is to move out. You say that husband took early retirement to help his father through his final illness. Are you employed? If not, I suggest you get out of there and find a job, pronto. Whatever money you earn, tuck it away toward a moving out fund. If you take this to the furthest possibility, you'd also want money for a divorce attorney. I'm not saying all this will happen, but you better at least formulate a plan. Either you find a way to live with these messy people in your home, or you make a plan to exit the situation. Best of luck. My daughter, mid-teens, got her first pair of AirPods a couple of months ago for her birthday. Ever since we've had this issue of her walking around the house with them, we cannot tell because her hair is long and covers her ears. That wouldn't be an issue, but if we try talking to her without realizing they're in and must repeat her name or tap her on the shoulder, she gets irritated, rips one out of her ear and snaps. What? We've tried talking to her about it. I said before she can't use them as an excuse to not answer us or be open to talk. I'm not even looking for in-depth conversations here. But if I need to ask her to get her laundry out of the dryer so I can use it, it's not unreasonable for me to come up to her and ask her without her acting like I'm bothering her. We've tried to compromise, one pod in when she's walking around. She will for a couple of days, but then go back to both. Let us know if she's going to the cone of silence. She says she will, but then she forgets. After an incident when her dad went to ask her what she wanted for dinner, and she snapped at him for interrupting her song. Once again, he didn't see the AirPods were in. We had enough. We told her that she can only use the AirPods in her room or outside the house when she goes for runs, is out with friends, etc. I told her it's ridiculous that we can't ever talk to her. She got huffy and said that wasn't fair. I said if she doesn't adhere to the rules, I'll take them away until she learns to be respectful. Now she's angry and says I'm being totally unfair. Not the idiot. I don't so much think the problem is that she can't hear you the first time, because that's just the nature of headphones of any kind. I think the problem is her attitude when you tap her on the shoulder. Snapping what is not okay. I would understand a snap if she were working on homework and you were repeatedly disturbing her. However, if she's just hanging out leisurely and still dares to get mad, even though she's not listening, she needs an attitude check. Is this an AirPod specific issue? When she used her corded ones around the house, was she still being rude when asked to pause and listen to something? You should enforce one pod until she learns how to be kind. Take one pod away until she earns your respect by not snapping again. And please tell her she absolutely cannot run with both AirPods in. It's a major safety issue. She must know her surroundings, be it a car, another runner, pedestrian, or someone looking to harm her. She must be aware of things happening around her while on a run. Idiot, yes. Moody teen wants to be left alone to brood to the bangers of the day. Today it's AirPods. Yesterday, the Walkman. Be glad it's not a boombox. But can I give you some advice? Present your issue to her and ask her what the solution should be. You'll probably have better luck reaching a solution together than you will just setting house rules, no matter what those rules are. Earlier today, I asked my boyfriend to go with me to run some errands. When we finished, I was hungry, so I picked a Mexican restaurant for lunch. It was more of an authentic place, which I absolutely loved, but my boyfriend said nothing looked appealing. He gave me money for my meal and said he'd go to a place down the street. 10 minutes later, he's back because the place had a really long wait time. I made some suggestions from the menu he'd probably like to try, but he said no. He said he told me last week he was burned out on Mexican food when we went out for dinner with my parents because we always eat it. He didn't order anything that night either, which was really embarrassing to have someone at the table not eating the entire time, and I was trying to explain to my mother and stepdad in a way that didn't sound disrespectful. The service at this place was rather slow, so I wound up taking most of my meal with me. He said to stop along the way to my place so he could get something to eat. I said no, because he knew I had to be home by a certain time for a maintenance person, and everything he wanted was in the opposite direction. When we got back to my place, he said he was going to go home because he was starving. I said he could stay and cook something here, but he said no and that he needed space after I made him starve. I told him he wouldn't be starving if he hadn't been so picky, and he left. He's still mad at me. So am I the idiot here? He told you he was burned out on Mexican food, and yet, girl, he literally paid for your lunch, even though he didn't eat there, and you didn't even try to stop somewhere for him? You're wild. You are the idiot. It's not like it was news to her. A week ago, she watched him just sit and not eat rather than have Mexican. Then she wouldn't let him go elsewhere to get food because she had to be somewhere. Then she's mad he wanted to just go home and eat. Why did you choose a Mexican restaurant? You knew he didn't want to go and seemed to not care about his feelings. You thought you could wear him out by insisting you go. That's not how it works in a relationship. You have to make compromises. You pick a restaurant. He doesn't like it. He suggests another one. You don't like it. Back and forth until you both come to a mutual decision and you're both happy. Hubby and I have been married for almost 16 years, and this is a regular occurrence for us. It'll continue to be until death do us part. Did you skip where she said he went to get something for himself, but he didn't want to wait? Instead, he came back and demanded that she leave her way when she needed to be home. He had the chance to get something. He decided not to wait in line. That's on him. OP is not the idiot.